that we talk. What we're doing, and you can hear by the language that we're saying, is not music education. It's music in education. And more specifically, it's musical literacy in education. And I want to impress upon you that this is not the old style of music education. It's not take a lesson, you're going to get better. It's not music is a talent for the few of us, or it's just a pleasure that some of us can dabble in and so forth. It's an essential literacy of the 21st century. It's we think that it joins the grand tradition of language literacy, which today, if you say literacy, everybody assumes it's just language, but it's just one literacy. Math is a literacy as well. Social emotional skills are literacies as well. And music is best understood, in my opinion, as a literacy, not as learning repertoire. Now, keep in mind, I taught at New England Conservatory. I know how literate those students were when they came to the conservatory. They were not literate uniformly at all. They recited, they practiced long hours, and they were able to perform. Their understanding of music was minimal. Of course, not all of them, but a surprisingly big part of it. So when I joined Harvard Project Zero, and we looked at 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, I started getting a clue as to what was wrong with music education. Children at ages 5, 6, and 7, and in our studies at Harvard, were able to map ingredients of music, the parameters of music, with no training at all, in ways that were often superior to those who were being taught notes, which they did not understand. I'll give you an example. One kid, they go, well, let's write down the song, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And the kid would go, he'll make up symbols like these, you can see on the left. And they all did it differently, but well, look what they did. They used symbols that were being were being employed to understand the music. Row, row, row your boat. Well, you have to know that this song started with an introduction. La, 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 la. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And what we did at the conservatory is we asked them to do the same thing that we asked 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, which was, can you invent a system that captures what's going on in the music? So in age 5 on the top right, you see la, 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 that's according to the child. And if you ask the child what that is, she says it's 3 tongues. Tongues. Well, can you perform that? La, 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 la. Okay, that's how she wants to say it. And then, well, what's this other thing? Well, it's a boat and they're dreaming and, same child, age 6. All of a sudden, it's more discrete. No lessons, just cognitive development, sort of moving forward. It's more variegated. It has more dimensions, has the same tongues, but now the tongues are getting bigger. La, 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 la. The bigger tongue is lower. Well, you might get a bad grade in music theory if you say something like that, but to a cognitive psychologist, that's ingenious. Well, look at how she's capturing that. And she makes sure by putting that arrow pointing down, if you see that, right? Or am I being too fast? Yeah, I can't point. Gene, if you've got a marker. Yeah, yeah. The second phrase now is row, row, row 3 times. Your, a finger pointed to, and there's a boat, right? Gently down the stream. Oh, wait a minute, that's a little obtuse, right? Gently. Well, she explains, those are very gentle marks. Look how softly I wrote them down. And then there are 2 arrows, one pointing up and one pointing down. I said, that looks pretty contradictory to me. Please explain that. Well, the sound of the melody goes up and it goes down. Gently down. And the word down is actually going up in pitch. Now just stop for a minute here and think what a revelation this is to teaching and learning. That they are perfectly capable of understanding music in their own symbolic means. If they had to pass a theory test, they would be lost. There'd be nothing. And I know that because we get conservatory students who didn't go through this process and they're behaving the same way. It's as if they don't really know what it is. They just know how to play it, you know. And if you play the wrong note on Gently Down the Stream, they'd know it at a second. But what's their representation? Well, to gently down the stream, there's a stream that's iconic. Fourth phrase, merrily, 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 merrily. Well, that's totally illiterate, right? There's nothing to accept. Well, wait a minute, look closer. And then more importantly, listen to the child. She says, can I hear you sing that and show me how it goes? And she goes with her hand, if you can see me on the screen. She goes gently down the stream, right? Right before that, merrily, 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 merrily. It's what a conductor would do. Merrily, 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 merrily. Now, wait a minute. Now, is this more advanced or less advanced than a kid who's taught standard notation? Well, you can probably guess what I think about this. Teaching and learning is at stake right from the beginning. And the way you treat a child and their own inventiveness is what they're going to start thinking what music is and what's rewarded and so forth. The final phrase, life is but a dream. Any guesses on what that first symbol is? Anyway, you see how I present things, how I talk to parents, how I talk to educators. That's why I'm taking the time to do this. But I'll tell you what she said. That's life. And I said, that's life. Yeah, it's a dead person crossed out. I don't know about you, but double negatives are wonderful, or whatever you want to call that. And this is what we need to get out of music. The literacy draws it out because it shows a composite understanding. Imagine just saying, here's the notation, now learn this and write it down, just like they do with their music. Put your finger here and then just do it here and so forth. If you really want a revolution or a real change in music education, what I'm going to recommend and what I'm trying to convey to you is that when we look deeply at it, it's the literacy that we left out of it. It was all learning songs. It was all repetitious, and the ones that could sing in tune would be in the front or whatever. This is no way to honor the role of music as an essential part of 21st century education. And by the way, I have to finish it. There's life as a dead person crossed out. But is the back of a bus and a dream. Well, you can see the dream. And when they sing it and they describe it, it's amazing. And when they get to age 7, they become more influenced by language literacy, by mathematical literacy, right? You can see it's more quantified. Row, row, row lasts the same amount of time, and your is a shorter note. So 2, 2, 2, 1. It's twice as fast. Yeah. Again, now what's significant here at age 7, which is just, first grade, is now they're really looking at the metrics and as a whole. And if you look at all the students, if you look at it as a whole, they're all covering it very much the same thing. Shrink the picture, Gene, and we'll get the other kid on the left side. You can see that child's a little bit more quantified, right? It's all these abstract symbols. They actually look a little bit more like they're in a musical state. And so, but they're reinventing at least what education is. But here's the tragedy, and this is the part that really got me going. After they did this study, I went back and talked to them when they were 10 years old and so forth. And some of them said, oh, when I was a 6-year-old, I knew nothing. Look at that. And that's no way is that music. I finally learned how, and she would write the notes. The notes weren't accurate. They were just notes. The understanding of music did not progress in the notation, but it doesn't look as childlike and fanciful, or in Picasso's terms, what you want out of children is to draw like a child. What you want as an adult is to draw like a child, which is to say to really look at what is the phenomenology of music and and face it. So I wanted to take just a quick little thing. I don't want to take time out of the meeting too much, but this is what got me going. And when I started music education in the conservatory, the students who took the concentration and wanted to teach in schools, I said, you got to look at this. You got to look at this, and lots of other things. So Windows on music cognition, the faculty at the conservatory said, why are you doing science? Just teach music. I said, I think we're underestimating what music is. It's not just learning a song correctly after practicing all your life. Um, and if you look at the literacy, it opens up the conservatory student to their understanding of music in ways that allows them to reignite their love of music and so forth. So this is the arc of research. I would do this with young children, and then I did research with conservatory graduates, and so I have a history of being obsessed with this kind of work, but the translation to school is a whole other thing. And so